Born in the Highland snows, wild in the youth descending, swiftly she fills and grows.
The unveiling was part of a commemoration of the 165th anniversary of the Great Flood, where the two men rescued 69 people from raging floodwaters, 1/3 of the entire community at that time. Chair of the Brungle-Tumut Local Aboriginal Land Council and Yarri Jacky committee member Auntie Soni Piper says the Great Flood of 1852 was an especially tragic event.
Well, I think they're very brave heroes for Aboriginal people and what they did at the flood, how many they saved in there. And when a lot of the white people wouldn't take notice of them, when these two Aboriginal men tried to tell them in a Gundagai, a lot of the people, not to build down on the flat where the river was, and they didn't take notice of the Aboriginal men. And then that's when that big flood come, and what they did. And to me, that's a very, I'm so proud of them, you know, to think that they're Aboriginals, and this is someone I wanted to be proud of and feel that way. And now that we're getting a sculpture in there of them, I am proud, very proud indeed.
And so is Ian Horsley, the great-grandson of one of the people saved by Yarri.
There was a general feeling that there should be a really significant acknowledgement of these two brave men, and in fact an acknowledgement of the Wiradjuri people as a whole, because they were the most prominent representatives, certainly during the flood and obviously after it because of what they'd done. But the people as a whole had been very much part of the Gundagai community, and the feeling was that there hadn't been any really significant recognition.
Ian Horsley says his great-grandfather was rescued from a tree after his fiancée perished.
He remained there for another probably 24 hours until rescued by, we believe, Yarri in the early hours of the Sunday morning. The flood had come through on Friday, so he was in there probably a total of 30 hours or more. An incredible story, an incredible exhibition of courage by the two men who've been named, but we believe there were others doing similar sort of rescues. But it is a most extraordinary story of heroic action by men who had warned the white men that sooner or later there would be a really enormous flood that would cover the floodplain where the little hamlet of Gundagai had grown up, and this was the result.
When people think of Gundagai, they usually think of the dog on the tucker box, a small sculpture outside town inspired by the bullock drover's poem Bullocky Bill, which celebrates the life of a drover's dog that loyally guarded the man's tucker box until death. But Miriam Crane from Cootamundra Gundagai Regional Council says the heroism of Yarri and Jacky has gone unremarked on in the national consciousness until now.
I think it really it grounds us into the story of the history of Australia. We've got a long history of telling stories about pioneers, but we haven't really told the stories about what happened up to and during that time from an Indigenous point of view. And I think this is a really important story in the early reconciliation of the European settlers and the original people of Australia. So I think it's a great story.
Auntie Phyllis Freeman from Brungle-Tumut Local Aboriginal Land Council and the Yarri Jacky Committee says even many locals were unfamiliar with the story.
I go to the Brungle school up here when the other schools are visiting, and I take the little Yarri book with all the information and that in it, and when I'd ask the different schools, did they know about Yarri, but they never heard of him.
So Auntie Phyllis made a point of educating the youngsters at Brungle about what the men did.
They sit there quiet and they're listening, and then they might ask questions, and because the stories that I tell them, that the books that I read and that, one part said that he used to camp, Yarri used to camp at the Brungle Bridge, and I tell them that, like, he'd come from Brungle and he was a hero and he saved all those people in Gundagai. And I said, there's a little monument, it's got the little house, like the inn that was washed away in the floods, and they got that in the golf course at Gundagai.
I certainly think that if anybody else had done those same activities, I wonder how they would be recognised and whether they would have had, you know, a monument much sooner. So I think for me it's a very important thing to see the story finally see the monument that it deserves. When you think about what it would have been like to be there on that night, and the faith that both groups of people were placing in each other by stepping into that canoe, it would have been a difficult thing for the people that were on the rooftops or in the treetops to step into the canoe, and an incredibly difficult thing for Yarri to go out and rescue those people, and for Jacky. So it's one of those early stories of coming together. So it's an important one.
I would like to acknowledge the Wiradjuri people who are the traditional custodians of this land. I would also like to pay respect to elders, both past and present, of the Wiradjuri nation, and extend that respect to everybody here today. Thank you.
The chair of the Yarri Jacky Committee, Peter Smith, says the men's courage and selflessness extended to everyone around them.
These men are like Wiradjuri men, and they didn't worry about any sort of race or colour or anything when they were doing their bravery act. They just do what they needed to do and just did what they thought was necessary. They had to save the people, so they saved the people, and they didn't think twice about it.
And so the Gundagai and Brungle communities hope to add to the area's fame. Stop in next time you're near Gundagai. Head up the main street, and there's no way you'll miss Yarri and Jacky.
I think it's good because it will become part of our folklore for the whole area. It will become a story that is more widely known. I think everyone knows about the dog on the tucker box, and everybody certainly should know about the story of Yarri and Jacky.
We stand, gazing in love and awe over the land you made with your gentle hands. Murrumbidgee fair, Murrumbidgee fertile, nurturing at your breasts. We who walk here for a little while, high on a ridge we stand, gazing in love and awe over the land you made with your gentle hands. Our